There you go, guys, back again. It's what was it, Wednesday the 9th of October, and we're here at about 9:30 in the morning, and just want to show you what we've done to try and brace this up. Okay, a lot of this is not in the engineering, alright. This is stuff we do extra, stuff I work out on site to beef it up, make it even stronger, because as I said on the last video on Mountford Street here at New Farm, is the problem we have is we have that 20-30 ton house over there, which is going to slide over the top of this and be put up on top of these posts, which are nearly they will be nearly 4 meters high off the brick wall, about 3.5, and we're going to try, to try and make that happen, bolted with just 2 bolts on each post into a brick wall, which is only 8 inches, less than 190 mil thick, and only 6 inches or 5 inches of that is actually concrete. The rest is just block, which isn't actually holding anything. You're asking a lot for those 2 bolts to stop that house from moving. I know you can't see much of it from here. There it is there. Okay, so what we've done, as you can see here, I've put a wing on it. It's almost futile putting the wing there, but there's going to be a piece of LVL going from there to the brick. I'm tripping over so much stuff on the ground here. Okay, so there's going to be a bit of LVL from there to there. It was going to be LVL joist all the way along, which still is, but it's bolted to the side of this steel, and this steel, if you can see this, is welded to the side of that. There's a 200 mil weld there. That's going to stop that post from wanting to go that way or that way at the bottom. What we're trying to do is reduce the amount of wobble it's going to get there, because those bolts, they're chem set, although they're chem set up to 150 mil into the concrete's only, well, the whole brick wall is no bigger than 8 inches, and only half of that's concrete. And like, I can knock that wall down with a sledgehammer, let alone putting a 30 ton house on top of it, 3.5 meters on top, with a big lever to go push it. It's, something has to stop it from moving. There's only 3 bracing walls in this house, and this front wall is definitely not it. It's only got 4 posts in it. So I had to come up with something to try and minimise the amount of wobble we're going to be getting. At the other end of this steel is then welded to the post that's holding up the steel that runs across the building to hold up that big beam there. Then we'll run through that one, which is the one that's supposed to go over the top of the doorway. We've got the post welded to the side of that, so there's very little movement that way, and even less movement going across that way. Alright, and what I've done to try and hold that, because this wall isn't strong enough, okay? Have a look. That's all you've got, a freestanding wall. It's got enough trouble trying to hold itself up, let alone trying to hold a post on top, which goes way up there, and then a house on top of that. You can only get so much out of a brick wall. It'd be different if you had a concrete slab being tied across the whole lot. You haven't. It's only steel. So what I've done is I've put another piece of steel across to tie it into that piece. Now that piece is tied into that piece. That's 600 kilo steel there. I know, I just lifted it up there. Not by hand, of course. We used the sty blocks. Should have somebody on the camera showing. But we'll put it up there and slid it across to where it's supposed to live. So that piece is in there. We've got to weld that in there now. I've just got some clamps holding it up there. That's going in there. So that's holding that whole section there from falling that way. Alright, and I'm going to be putting some more steel across over to this brick wall, which will be holding that section to stop it from going that way. I've got a little stub post which I have to weld onto after we've slid the house across. That house has got to come a bit lower yet so we can slide it safely. They get slid across the floor once the floor's built next week. And then once we push the house up to height, then we weld the posts on, because I can't get back into the floor area. I can't get back to bolt it and weld it where I need to around the brick wall and the steel beams. Okay, so I've got to come up with all this stuff, and I've got to do all this before the floor goes in, because I can't get back there. Once there's a floor in the way, I can't get back into the floor to give it the strength it requires to hold that house on top of 3.5 meters of steel post. And it's got to stay there, because all the styes come out. Now on this one, same again. We've got a piece of LVL, a bit of timber that goes in between there. and from here that way I've put, again, that's the cantilever piece that the engineer has in there. That's now welded to the side of that post. It's held up off the top of the concrete by another post there, and we've got to cut that to length. Once I get the other side up, on the other side there's another piece to go on the other side past that steel beam over there, another piece over there, and then I'll put a string line through, cut all those to suit. So this big beam here, bit of 300C channel, that goes, slaps on the front of it, just welded off on all those 4 beams. It's a bit of a jigsaw puzzle. There's another little beam that comes across here to catch a post that's got to go on top of it. It joins into that one across the top of this one that goes across here and out. So there's a few pieces of steel yet, but the whole idea is this sort of stuff has to be thought of beforehand. And there's very few guys that do this sort of thinking. Most of them just go with what's on the engineering plans. And if there's not enough engineering in there, well, that's not their problem. But yet it is. According to the license, if you go back through licensing states, as a contractor, if you know of a mistake or a know of a problem within the plans and you can fix it, it is your duty to fix it. Okay? So if you can do it better than what's on the engineering, it is your duty by license, by law, to do that. It's not an argument. It is not a state that you have to go get 3 other guys to come and take the responsibility off you. By law, your contracting license says you are able to do those things. It's like the license when you drive a car. Your car license says that you are to be kept, you are yourself to keep up to date with all the law changes as we go as regards to driving on the road, on the public streets. It is up to you to keep up to those laws and to obey them. It's not up to the police or the government to notify you of any law changes. That's your responsibility, and that is part of your license. Have a read of the conditions of your license. You'll see it. And the same thing applies to your building license or your contracting license. Same conditions. It is up to you to keep up with the building code and the standards for that. And if you see any problems that you can alleviate, that you can fix and make better, your license states that you are the one to do it, or at least point it out so the next guy along can do it. Either way, it is your responsibility. If you do not take that responsibility, then you, of course, are liable for not notifying people and not making that happen. So if there's a failure later on, the weak point is the guy who didn't open his mouth. Okay? So for all those contractors that say, no, it's not my responsibility, sorry guys, your license says it is. So look at that. Make sure that before you do something, that you know what needs to be done. And of course, with that house coming across there, with 25 years of experience of moving houses and putting them across things like this, I can tell you, what was on here wasn't enough. And I can tell you by the time I'm finished, it's going to be a whole lot better than what was on the engineering. Not the engineer doesn't know what he's doing. He did it as per his standards, what he's taught, what he's told to do at college and through his experience. Okay, there are very few engineers I know of that are experienced at moving houses. Okay, and even less engineers that I know of that are experienced at holding them up. Okay, building a house brand new house off this sort of steel work, doing a brand new house off steel work the way he's got it engineered, no problem. You can do that easy. Okay, what he had engineered for that is no problem. It is suitable, it is quite acceptable, and will do the work that is required if you built the house one story at a time and tied it all together. We're not doing that. We've already got a house that exists. Okay, a bit different. And we've got to put that house on top of this structure. This structure has to be strong enough to handle it. Okay, that takes somebody who has that experience. Unfortunately, in my case, that's me. Doesn't mean I'm going to be right and perfect, but it means my experience tells me I'm going to be a lot better than the other guys who haven't done it. Okay? So that's why I'm doing all this. You can see our welds again. Nice thick welds. It's hard to see now that they're all painted black. Yeah, nice thick welds. Cameron's done a good job. All the way around to hold all this in. Okay, I thought I'd just show you all that and explain that so you can understand why we are doing it the way it's happening and why it's taking so long. This is taking some time. Like, we've been at it a week already. It's going to take the rest of this week to finish this off. Really, I've got to go away for a day tomorrow and then come back on Friday, but we've got other jobs happening as well. But yes, it's making sure that whatever we do is able to hold that house, because if it's not, there's going to be a lot of people die as they work on this building and that thing comes down. Alright, the big problem is there's very little bracing walls on this next level, the middle level, and I know for a fact that the southwesters that come through during summer, the storms that come through from Ipswich, which is that direction, okay, there's nothing there. They're going to come straight through here and they're going to blow on the house, because that house is 3 stories high. Because this house is 3 stories high. I'm standing on the ground. Windows are going to be doing too much to be down here, but 2 more stories further up, 8 meters further up, it's going to do a lot to that house, and it's going to want to shake it and move it. If it does that and those bracing walls can't handle it, it's coming down, and whoever's in it, yeah, well, they will not enjoy the ride. And if it does do that, of course, I am liable. Any other contractor that's on this job is liable if they have anything to do with the structure. Okay, the engineers are liable. If that house comes down, we're all in the shit. And anybody who thinks you're not, sorry guys, if that came down and killed somebody, you can bet your life you will be getting investigated, and they will pull apart this whole thing to find out who's at fault. And if it comes down that it was your welding or your steel fabrication, or you if you did not strengthen it or tell somebody it needed strengthening, and you just went by what's on the engineering and did not mention to the engineer and to the builder and to the owner that it needed work, sorry guys, you are responsible. It means you get lumbered with it, you then pay the cost. Don't believe me? Go have a look at your conditions of your license. Okay, somebody's got to tighten this up. I'm getting sick of it. I've always got to go through and try to fix other people's work. It's another job I've seen only recently. Disgusting. Okay? One of my pet peeves. Alright. It's another one of my pet peeves. Just like cancer and diabetes and all those things. You know, it's another one of my pet peeves. You go look it up. Watch me on Facebook. Have a look at my comments. I hate things that aren't done right. Not that I'm perfect, but I sure try hard at it. Okay, that's it. Before I go blabbling on again and babbling about a whole lot of rubbish, I'll leave it with you. I'll take another video later on when we get some more steel up. Okay guys, signing off. See ya.